Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that you own an auto repair shop. Not a tiny garage with one lift, a real business. 4 lifts, a parking lot full of cars, mechanics working behind you, customers calling every few minutes, and hundreds of thousands of dollars flowing through the business every year. At first, it looks like you've made it. Every bay is full. Every technician is busy. Every car leaves with a bill. $500, $800, maybe $2,000. And then you look at your bank account.
And something doesn't make sense because the money isn't there. You have customers, you have employees, you have cars waiting outside. You have more work than you can handle. And somehow, you are still struggling to make the business truly profitable. This is the strange reality of auto repair. The United States has an enormous fleet of aging vehicles. The average light vehicle on American roads reached 12.8 years old in 2025, and the aftermarket business surrounding those vehicles is expected to grow beyond $500 billion within the next few years. So the demand is real, the customers are real, the money is real. But here's the problem. A full workshop does not automatically mean a profitable workshop, because you are not really selling repairs. You are selling something much harder to control. Time, technician time, lift time, diagnostic time, and customer trust. And if even one of those things breaks, your entire business can start losing money. So today, imagine that you own the shop. You have invested your money, you have employees depending on you, customers waiting for their cars, and every morning, you open the doors to a business that can either make you wealthy or quietly consume your life. The question is, what actually happens when you own an auto repair shop? And more importantly, can a fully booked repair shop still leave its owner with almost nothing? Let's find out. The first mistake is thinking the expensive part is the building. It isn't. The building is easy. The expensive part is everything that has to happen inside it. Let's say you want to enter the business. You could start small. A couple of lifts, a rented building, some diagnostic equipment, basic tools, insurance, licenses, a little advertising, and enough cash to survive the first few months. Even then, you can easily be looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's another problem. At this size, you are probably not buying yourself a business. You're buying yourself a job. You are answering the phone. You are ordering parts. You are talking to customers. You are managing employees. And when someone calls in sick, you may even be the mechanic.
So instead, let's say you want something bigger. You want an established workshop, a real customer base, a recognizable location, multiple lifts, a team that already knows how to operate. Now you are buying something much more valuable. You are buying cash flow. In 2025, transaction data from BizBuySell, auto repair and service businesses that sold, had a median sale price of roughly $399,000. But that number can be misleading, because the business you actually want, the one with a strong reputation, reliable employees, and healthy earnings, can cost far more. And once you buy it, the purchase price is only the beginning. You still need working capital, maybe new equipment, maybe software, maybe repairs to the building, maybe better diagnostic systems, maybe a new marketing campaign. And suddenly, your $500,000 acquisition has become a $600,000 investment.
Now imagine that you have the money. You signed the papers. The keys are yours. The sign outside has your name on it. You own the shop. But tomorrow morning, nothing has changed.
The lifts are still empty until customers arrive. The mechanics still need to be paid. The rent is still due. The insurance bill still arrives. And every minute a technician is standing around, your business is burning money. Because buying the machine was only the beginning. The real cost appears after ownership.
So how does the machine actually work? From the outside, it looks simple. A customer arrives, the mechanic finds the problem. The customer pays, the car leaves. But behind the scenes, there are actually 4 different clocks running at the same time. The first clock is the employee's time. Let's say a technician is at work for 8 hours. That's 8 hours you are paying for. But the second clock is productive time. Maybe the technician spends part of the day waiting for a part. Maybe another car is stuck in the bay. Maybe a diagnostic problem takes longer than expected. Maybe the customer hasn't approved the repair. Maybe the mechanic has to move vehicles around the lot. You are still paying for the employee, but the business isn't necessarily producing revenue. And that leads to the third clock, build time. Because the customer only pays for the hours you can actually sell.
This is where the entire economics of the workshop changes. Imagine a mechanic costs you money for 8 hours, but you only sell 5 of those hours. The other 3 hours are invisible losses. You don't see an invoice that says, "Lost 3 hours today," but financially, those hours disappeared. And then there is the fourth clock, the customer's time. Because customers don't want their cars sitting in your shop for 3 days. They want the repair done, fast. So suddenly, you are trying to solve 4 problems at once. Keep the mechanic productive, keep the lift occupied, keep the customer happy, and keep the car moving through the system.
This is why the best repair shops don't simply repair cars. They manage flow. A vehicle arrives, it gets diagnosed. The customer approves the work. The parts arrive. The technician performs the repair. The vehicle is tested. The customer pays. And the lift becomes available again. The faster and more reliably that cycle happens, the more money the workshop can generate. But there is one thing that can destroy the entire machine: a missing person. The mechanic. The United States is expected to have roughly 70,000 openings for automotive service technicians every year over the coming decade. So finding skilled people is not a side problem. It is one of the central problems of the business. A workshop can have 10 customers waiting and still make $0 from them if there is nobody qualified to do the work.
And this creates the strangest asset in the entire business. The most important piece of equipment might not be the lift. It might not be the diagnostic scanner. It might not even be the building. It could be the person standing next to the car. And this is where most people misunderstand how auto repair actually makes money. Because the biggest opportunity isn't always under the hood. It is inside the invoice.
Let's say our workshop has 4 productive lifts. Around 180 vehicles pass through the shop every month. The average repair order is $625. That creates annual revenue of roughly $1.35 million. That sounds incredible. Over $1 million from a building full of cars. But where does it actually come from? The first source is labor. You are selling technician time. The customer isn't just paying for the person under the car. They are paying for the ability to diagnose the problem, the knowledge to fix it, the equipment required to perform the repair, and the risk the workshop takes by guaranteeing the work. The second source is parts. A customer needs a new alternator. The workshop buys it. The workshop installs it. And the workshop marks it up. The customer isn't only paying for the metal box. They are paying for availability, selection, convenience, warranty handling, and someone else taking responsibility if something goes wrong.
This is why the repair invoice can be so large, even when the mechanic only spends a few hours on the vehicle. You are combining 2 businesses into one: labor and parts. And then there's the third source: diagnostics. Modern cars are computers with wheels. A problem that once required a wrench may now require specialized software, a scan tool, technical information, and hours of experience. The workshop isn't just fixing a machine anymore. It is decoding one, and that knowledge has value.
Now let's look at our fictional workshop again. $1.35 million in annual revenue. Maybe around half comes from labor. Most of the rest comes from parts. The business looks huge from the outside. But now, the money starts disappearing. Parts cost money. Technicians cost money. The service advisor costs money. Rent costs money. Insurance costs money. Utilities, software, training, equipment, credit card fees, marketing, warranty work. And then, there is the expense that nobody sees. The empty lift. Imagine a lift that could have generated $1,200 of revenue today, but it sits empty. 1 day, 2 days, a week. The owner sees a clean workshop. The accountant sees nothing unusual. But economically, the business just lost an opportunity worth tens of thousands of dollars. Because in this business, the money you don't make can be just as important as the money you spend.
This is why the most successful owner isn't necessarily the best mechanic. The best owner understands utilization, pricing, scheduling, parts, customer approval, and something even more important, trust. Because the customer can't always tell whether the repair is necessary. The mechanic knows more, the customer knows less. That creates an information gap. And whoever controls that gap controls the relationship. The best businesses don't exploit that relationship. They build it. Because one customer can become 5 years of recurring revenue. Oil changes, brakes, tires, batteries, suspension, maintenance, and eventually, another car from the same family. The real business isn't one repair. It is the next repair.
And this changes everything. Because the most valuable thing in the workshop may not be the car in front of you. It may be the customer who comes back next year. But every dollar you earn creates another bill. And some of those bills are much bigger than the owner expects.
Let's return to our $1.35 million workshop. On paper, it looks like a success. Now subtract the cost of the parts. Subtract technician labor. Subtract management. Subtract rent. Subtract insurance. Subtract software. Subtract marketing. Subtract equipment. Subtract everything else. Suddenly, that million-dollar business looks very different. After all the modeled operating expenses, the workshop might be left with around $162,000 in operating profit. 12%.
12% sounds respectable, until something goes wrong. A technician quits, a lift breaks, a major repair comes back under warranty, a customer rejects an expensive repair, a parts supplier raises prices, a competitor opens across the street, or the owner discovers that the entire business depends on one mechanic who is now leaving. And that is the hidden bill. Not the cost you planned for, the cost you didn't.
Imagine a customer approves a $3,000 repair. The shop orders the parts. The mechanic spends hours doing the work. The car leaves. 3 days later, the customer comes back. The problem is still there. Now the workshop has a choice. Charge the customer again, or fix the problem for free. If the business wants to protect its reputation, it may have to absorb the cost. The customer sees one repair. The owner sees lost technician time, lost lift capacity, new parts, another diagnostic, and a customer who may never return.
Then there is technology. Cars are getting more complicated. The average American vehicle is now more than 12 years old, but the newer vehicles entering the repair market are filled with electronics. Cameras, radar, sensors, driver assistance systems, high-voltage batteries, software, calibration.
A shop that wants to repair modern cars needs modern tools, and modern tools cost money. The equipment becomes more expensive. The training becomes more expensive. The information becomes more expensive. And the mistakes become more expensive too.
Even giant companies are not immune. Monroe, one of the largest automotive service chains in the United States, closed 145 underperforming stores as part of its fiscal 2026 strategy. Think about that. A company with over $1 billion in annual sales still had locations that weren't working economically. Because scale doesn't automatically fix bad unit economics, it multiplies them. One bad shop is a problem. 100 bad shops is a strategy. And yet, some operators have figured out how to turn tiny workshops into powerful businesses.
Mark Carr was not a lifelong mechanic. He was working in graphic art sales when he and a friend came up with an idea for an automotive repair business. In 1982, they opened the first Christian Brothers automotive location in Texas. Years later, the business expanded into franchising. The lesson wasn't that Carr became the greatest mechanic in America. The lesson was different. He understood something fundamental. People don't enjoy getting their cars repaired. They don't like uncertainty. They don't like walking into a dirty building, handing over their keys, and wondering whether the final bill will be double the estimate. So the opportunity wasn't simply repair more cars. The opportunity was create a better system. Cleaner facilities, better communication, more predictable customer experience, a stronger brand, and eventually, a business that could operate across multiple locations. This is one of the most important lessons in the entire industry. A great mechanic can build a great repair, but a great owner builds a system that can produce great repairs without depending on one person. And you don't have to build a giant chain to understand this. John Kayer operated Premier Auto Repair in Massachusetts. The shop was tiny, about 950 square feet, 2 lifts, 4 employees. And according to a ratchet plus wrench profile, the business generated around $795,000 in annual revenue.
2 lifts, $795,000. That's the part that makes this business so interesting. Because the opportunity isn't always about getting bigger. Sometimes it's about becoming more efficient, using less space, turning lifts faster, charging correctly, building trust, and making every hour count. In other words, the winning business isn't necessarily the largest garage. It's the garage that wastes the least. But every success story creates another question. What happens when the owner makes the wrong decisions?
The easiest mistake is believing that customers automatically equal profit. They don't. A workshop can be busy and still fail. It can have a strong brand and still fail. It can have hundreds of locations and still fail. Because the business is built location by location, and every location has its own economics, its own rent, its own mechanics, its own customers, its own competition, its own problems.
That's why the story of Monroe matters. The company closed 145 underperforming stores. Not because America stopped driving cars, not because the need for repairs disappeared. The business was still there. The market was still there. The customers were still there. But some individual locations simply did not work well enough. And that reveals the brutal truth about this industry. You can be in a giant market and still lose money. You can have demand without having a profitable business.
The same thing happens on a smaller scale. A shop owner might keep prices too low because they are afraid of losing customers. They might refuse to charge properly for diagnostics. They might keep an unreliable employee because hiring a replacement is difficult. They might accept every repair
even when the economics are terrible. Or they might grow too quickly. More locations, more employees, more rent, more debt, more management. And suddenly, the owner is running a much larger business with almost the same profit.
The biggest failure is not always bankruptcy. Sometimes it is creating a business that cannot survive without you. You own the shop, but the shop owns your time. You take a vacation and everything slows down. You stop answering the phone and customers complain. Your best mechanic leaves and half the capacity disappears. You don't own a machine. You have become the machine. And this leads us to the biggest threat of all. The biggest threat to an auto repair shop is not the price of oil. It's not the economy. It's not even electric vehicles. The biggest threat is losing the ability to turn skilled labor into predictable revenue. Because the entire business depends on people. A mechanic diagnoses the problem. A service advisor sells the repair. A parts supplier delivers the component. A technician installs it. A customer trusts the business. Remove one piece, and the entire chain can break.
This is why the future of the business will belong to owners who can solve two problems at the same time: technology and people. The cars are getting smarter. The repairs are getting more specialized. The equipment is getting more expensive. And qualified technicians remain difficult to replace. Meanwhile, customers still want the same thing they wanted 30 years ago. They want to know, what's wrong with my car? How much will it cost? And when will I get it back? The workshop that answers those three questions better than its competitors can win. The workshop that can't will struggle. And there's another danger: electric vehicles. They don't eliminate the need for service, but they can change the mix of that service. Less oil, fewer traditional engine repairs, more electronics, more tires, more software, more high-voltage systems. The business isn't disappearing, it is evolving. And owners who refuse to evolve may discover that the most profitable repairs of the future are the ones their workshop cannot perform. But now, we can finally answer the question that started this entire documentary. Is owning the shop actually worth it? Let's run the numbers.
Imagine you buy an established independent auto repair shop, 4 productive lifts, a trained team, a functioning customer base, and a good reputation. Total investment, roughly $634,000. That includes the acquisition, plus working capital, and the cash needed to operate after the deal closes. Annual revenue, $1.35 million. Money coming in, approximately $112,000 per month, about $5,000 on an average working day.
Now, the expenses: parts, technician labor, management, rent, insurance, software, marketing, equipment, warranty work, everything else. Our realistic model leaves the business with around $1,620,000 in annual operating profit. That's a 12% operating margin.
Now comes the part most people get wrong. If you are the owner and you also manage the business, your total economic benefit can be much higher. You might receive a salary for your work, plus the profit remaining after expenses. In our model, that could represent roughly $242,000 of annual economic benefit. On paper, a $634,000 investment could appear to pay back in around 2.5 years. Sounds incredible. But wait, because if you want to be a passive investor, you need to hire someone to replace you.
And now, your return changes. The business still earns $162,000, but you no longer receive the salary for managing it. The payback period becomes closer to 4 years, and suddenly, the story is very different. Because the secret is this: the owner of a successful auto repair shop is often doing 2 jobs. They are an investor, and they are an operator. And the money they receive is a combination of return on capital and payment for their labor.
Now, let's imagine everything goes right. The shop attracts more customers. The average ticket rises. The technicians stay. The lifts remain productive. The business develops a strong reputation. Annual revenue approaches $1.8 million. Operating profit could potentially approach $370,000. Now, the investment looks brilliant. The payback period can fall below 2 years. But now, the other side. Customers slow down. One technician leaves. Another lift breaks. Repair approvals fall. Parts become more expensive. Warranty work increases. The shop drops to around $750,000 in annual revenue. Suddenly, the business can lose tens of thousands of dollars, and the owner may need to inject more money just to keep the doors open. Same building, same lifts, same industry, completely different outcome. And that is the real economics of owning an auto repair shop.
So, would I buy an auto repair shop? Let's score it. Investment score? 8 out of 10. The entry cost can be relatively attractive compared with larger businesses, and established shops can already have customers and cash flow. Risk score? 6 out of 10. The demand is durable, but labor shortages, technology, pricing pressure, and operational mistakes can destroy profitability. Difficulty score? 9 out of 10. Because this is not passive ownership. You are managing people. Customers, equipment, inventory, technology, and reputation. Every day.
Profit potential, 8 out of 10. A well-run workshop can become a $1 million revenue business. And the best operators can build multiple locations, or eventually sell a system that works without them. But here's the question that matters most. Would a smart investor buy one? My answer: yes. But not just any shop. I would not buy a garage because it has a lot of cars in the parking lot. I would buy a system, a business with strong technicians, efficient scheduling, accurate pricing, low dependence on the owner, reliable customer retention, and enough cash flow to survive the bad months. Because the real asset is not the building, it is not the lift, it is not the toolbox, and it is not even the car. The real asset is the machine that turns technician time into customer trust and customer trust into recurring revenue. A bad auto repair shop is a job. A good one is a business. And a great one can become an asset that keeps making money, even when the owner is no longer standing underneath the car.
So, what happens if you own an auto repair shop? You discover something strange. The cars are not really the business. The repairs are not really the business. The money isn't even really the business. The business is the system behind all of it. And if you can control that system, you may have one of the most resilient small businesses in America. But if you can't, you may spend years surrounded by cars, wondering why you never seem to have any money. Because in auto repair, being busy is easy. Being profitable is the real repair.